WWE 2K20, one of the worst games of all time, period. Or as some of you may prefer, WWE 2K20 is one of the games of all time.
But that's just the beginning.
It was shrouded in negative press with a worldwide trending hashtag Fix WWE 2K20 because of its glitches, bugs, crash screens, and overall trash release. I even remember initially when the game launched, I couldn't even play multi-man matches or play with my creator wrestlers without it crashing. And it was like that for a long time. It quite clearly was not ready to be released, and it was an embarrassing follow-up to what many consider to be the greatest of all time.
Blow my mind.
Okay, yeah, alright. So when I initially booted this game up again, I decided, hey, we're on the PS5, so I'm gonna push this crash fest to its limits. I loaded up a 30-man Royal Rumble and pressed randomize, and Cole Quinn. Nope, not a chance. I decided to go with Daniel Bryan. Now, one thing I did forget was just the sheer amount of weapons in this game through the DLC. While the DLC was by and large terrible for this game and very much useless additions, I did enjoy seeing the tripod as a weapon. And hey, let me go ahead and tell you something. These tripods are no joke. You take one of these to the head and it's gonna be like,
my brain hurts.
How stupid can you be?
I'm not a CTE guy. Just don't believe in it.
Anyway, the Royal Rumble being my quest and eliminating them all being the ultimate test, generally it ran fine, but I did notice a very bizarre input delay, which I don't remember existing last time. It made the game feel really slow and sluggish, but maybe I'm just spoiled by the way 2K24 feels so silky and smooth in comparison. I will also give 2K20 credit because among all its many stinkers, it was the first game to change the way the Rumble match felt. 2K20 was the initial start of the new Royal Rumble that we've known over the last few games. The way it feels a bit more free-flowing and like anyone can be eliminated at any time instead of the way we were used to, where the Rumble matches kind of felt a little bit regimented. You go back to a game like WWE 13, for example, as goated as that game is, the Royal Rumble matches really are by and large just tap this button a lot of times, get them on the ropes, tap this, tap this, tap this, and you can win pretty easily. But in these newer games, it's a bit more, oh my god, I just got thrown over the ropes and now I'm done. I'm not going to WrestleMania, brother. You can easily just clothesline someone off the apron if they've taken enough damage, or just Irish whip someone over the top rope like in real life, which is one of my favorite changes they've made in the recent years. The main highlight of this initial match I decided to go back to really was just seeing all the random people I forgot were even in the game's roster, like Tony Nese, Shane Thorne, or Lindsay Dorado. And as is the theme with my content, you know who had to show up in this Royal Rumble. It was Triple H. He said 2K20 is the worst game of all time. Big fucking deal. I am the damn game. Oh, and Christian also shows up in this Royal Rumble before he became a father figure. Whatever the hell one of those is. I next went to check out the 4 Horsewomen Showcase, a mode that within itself around the launch of this game was a well-documented buggy mess. Now back then I could never actually finish the mode, and of course I'm still in my Nat era, so the first match naturally was against Exactly. Now, for those of you who have played these games religiously, you already know what I'm about to complain about.
Here's Charlotte. The queen is showing why she is genetically superior.
The head cranks and all the other animations that either ruined your flow or your matches, I hate them. And I'm about to go ahead and trigger some of you with what I'm about to do, but do you remember this?
Blow my mind.
One of the most jarring, frustrating, repetitive, stupid animations I have ever seen in my life. Because if it just happened every now and again, it was just kind of in the flow of the game, fine. Trying to record promos for the My Career universe, and every cutscene has to be plagued with people.
How do you think it feels?
One of my least favorite things about these games, especially around this time, and something I'm so glad is less frequent in the newer games, is that head crank animation. Because I have no problem with it happening early into a match where it makes sense as you're wearing your opponent down. But when I'm starting to pick up tempo in a match and I get hit with that vicious head crank for no reason, it's just a buzzkill. Another thing I hated about this game in comparison to its predecessors is the graphics. And the graphics looking the way they did because the developers thought instead of taking a step forward, we're gonna actually take a step back with the graphics and actually use the WWE 2K18 engine, an outdated and glitchy engine that was clearly a horrible idea. And for those of you who know anything about me, I'm not a graphics guy. Like, at all. I'm much more passionate about the features within the game, the replay value, etc. They took a massive step back with their appearance.
Cha-cha,
This guy stinks!
But then 2K20 was like SpongeBob in the SpongeBob movie when he got too hammered.
Not good.
Speaking of appearance, another thing that this game massively failed upon is its creative suite. I've already touched on the glitches of the game, but the fact that this game would horrifically crash whenever I try to load a match with a core is insane. Especially when you consider that it's one of the core features of the game. And like I said earlier, that happened to me so many times early into the game. You've also got the infamous glitch scenes in Creator Superstar, various mass glitches, and the disaster that was Creator Championship. Now another thing is Universe Mode.
You are so wrong.
I have two controversial opinions when it comes to 2K games, and every single time I say them, I feel like I'm gonna get assassinated. But with that being said, fuck it, we ball, if I may. Promos and Universe Mode should have died a long time ago.
Oh my
You know a brother is truly down horrendous when they're still hanging on to the idea that Universe Mode is ever going to be anything more than a disappointment. He's kind of like that one child in the family that had all the potential in the world, but he never really lived up to his parents' expectations, so now he kind of just exists.
It took my breath away.
Wait a minute, what the
Because
hell?
as is the theme with Universe Mode in these games, in this game, they give you crumbs and then you guys act like they've given you a full meal, or at least some of you do. They barely add anything here and really haven't added anything to make the mode worth playing for me in quite some time. Nowadays, anytime I've ever loaded up Universe Mode, I have no feeling.
Feels like
Universe Mode. Universe.
There's no feel.
2011.
It has a feel.
I know they've added story beats and they've added this and that to improve the mode. I'm not naive to that. But I'll be honest, I'd much rather see the mode completely banished to the Shadow Realm and never seen again. I'd much rather see them go in a different direction and create something that is creatively worth my time.
Like a story designer, for example.
And that way you can bring back your beloved promo system, but by putting the creativity in the hands of the consumer, you're not only providing a new layer to community creations to your community and creators alike, but also you're actually giving endless replay value to a mode that is still in that Universe Mode type fashion. You're allowing people who want to make their own stories to create, while also allowing those who don't want to think about what they create to just play what others cook. But alas, I think this is another conversation I'm going to have with the 2K devs at the next event, because from what I've heard and from the conversations I've had, I honestly don't think we're that far away from getting story designer back, but I don't know. Another mid component of 2K20 was its 2K Towers along with its DLC. Both of these things not really living up to what they could be, with 2K Towers just not really being that interesting and the DLC giving us stuff like this. It just all felt quite pointless. And while I do understand and while I have played and enjoyed the towers in a game like Mortal Kombat, for example, it just didn't really communicate in a wrestling game, and it didn't really have...
You just can't pass the vibe check.
Yeah. But I mean, with that being said, most of us only clicked on that mode to go and unlock the Fiend. Let's be real. 2K20's My Career Story saw an 18-chapter journey as Red and Trey reminisce on their careers while being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. Everything is framed as a literal to-do list that Trey and Red maintain, including tasks that range from typical WWE goals like win the Royal Rumble. You cross them off the list one by one, covering everything from the earliest years of your wrestling career on the indie scene to their big break at NXT and even their literal dream matches. While I guess in a similar way to most of these My Career Stories, whether it be NBA 2K or WWE 2K or whatever story game you want to talk about in this kind of sports realm, it sounds so much more interesting than it actually was. It takes way too long for Red and Trey to make it to the WWE, and both the subplots involving the secrets that Trey and Red hold from each other, and even the rivalry between Red and her childhood bully, it's all... Now, for what I'm about to say, I think I'm gonna have to Alex Russo beam myself into hell, because quite frankly, hell has frozen over. I actually didn't dislike my time back in this game, but now being so far removed from that initial rage I had from the game's launch and from how bad it was and from that initial state that they released it in, I didn't hate going back to this game. I didn't hate where it is now. It was even kind of nice to play through the 4 Horsewomen 2K showcase for what was basically my first time playing it. And I know what you guys are thinking right now. Deonte, you're so smart, you're so big brain. You should be the next president of the United States.
Put the fries in the bag, bro. You wash.
Well, you know, with that being said, I mean, literally, the potential next POTUS was putting fries in the bag, bro. So I think anything goes at this point. Now, will this game ever be more than considered the worst ever? Of course not. The ratings for this game still have it sitting at a stinker all-time low, and the damage to its own reputation will probably mean you don't believe me when I say I didn't hate being back on this game, and that is completely fine. I get it. This is by no means me saying, oh, I'm going back to 2K20, I'm playing more 2K. No, I will probably uninstall the game and never look back again. Quite frankly, unless I decide to do a WWE 2K20 10 years later video in about 5 years, this piece of shit will never touch my console again. As far as I'm considered, this is a virus among man. That's right, conspiracy theorists, this game was so bad that it ruined your entire way of living.
I'm a little lost.
Yeah, but
fair enough.
Slight exaggeration, but still. You don't need to believe me because the games have gotten substantially better since then. I am not entirely ignorant to the fact that WWE 2K24 has had its problems. Of course it does. Every single game does. But I do think that game is genuinely enjoyable, and although I think a lot of the fun I have with that game is largely in the fact that I don't make 2K content regularly anymore, so it's kind of been a first year for me to actually, well, enjoy a 2K game in a while. And when it comes to WWE 2K24, I can kind of actually sit back and enjoy what the game actually has to behold, rather than spending hundreds of hours in the highlight reel trying to get angles for my career universe. That I do not miss that, because while these videos that I make nowadays take 1,000 times more effort than those 2K videos ever did, at least I enjoy this. At least this is fun. WWE 2K22 is also an underappreciated game with a truly insane roster nowadays. I will also say the highlight reel greatly improved by the time we got around to 2K22. In 2K20, it is a slow mess, but by 2K22, they really improved it, and I have to thank them for that. As a former creator of that 2K content where I'm in the highlight reel a lot, I have to go ahead and give them credit for that 2K22 variant, because compared to 2K20's, which was a hot, steaming piece of ass, and not in a good way. You then go ahead and introduce that one in 2K22, which had the blur, it had the smooth, ooh. But speaking of that entire life cycle of these games, we do have to go ahead and shout out WWE 2K19 with mods for literally carrying these games for all those years, where we had the disastrous 2K20 launch, which means we basically had no game for that year, most of us. We had 2K Midgrounds come out in 2020, and then the lack of 2K21, WWE 2K19 with mods still to this day is an elite just a creation thing that happened that we were blessed with, and I have to shout out all the modders that helped out with that kind of thing. You guys seriously deserve the world, because you picked up the slack where, let's just go ahead and say it, the 2K devs dropped the ball, you picked up the ball, and my god, did you score a touchdown. The utter accuracy that some of these mods had, some of these mods of these superstars that were just showing up, one, the speed at which they would get these new characters into the game, incredible. The ease at which it was to actually get the characters in and get the theme and the Titantrons and the movesets and everything.
Wait for it.
Again, insane. But the utter accuracy of the faces and the models on some of these mods, it put 2K to shame on a level that quite frankly they should have been more embarrassed about. But like I said, when it comes to WWE 2K20, will it always be considered the worst of all time? Probably. But if for whatever reason, if you're bored of all the recent games and you want to go back and play this one because you never played it, I do genuinely think it is in a better state than it's ever been.